Is this Lydia's redemption story? Is the question.
Hi, welcome to Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. I'm Scott.
I'm Nelle.
And today we're going to talk about Testaments by Margaret Atwood, but we're going to talk about a specific part of it. We're not going to
I think we've all seen a bunch of reviews that are like, man, it was disappointing.
We want to talk about the character Lydia, and we want to talk about class traders, and we want to talk about what Lydia is. And so this is very much a discussion for people who have read the Testaments. Right?
There's
spoiler.
Is it a redemption story? Is she a massive traitor? I think ultimately, let's talk about Nazis. So, if you're in World War II and you're in Auschwitz and you are
a lot of Jews and you're a Nazi.
And you're a Nazi soldier and your job is to kill and torture Jewish people, are you evil?
Yes.
If you are a Jewish person and you're in a concentration camp and your job is to play music to keep the Jewish people calm while they walk into the gas chambers so that it is easier for the Nazis, are you evil?
No.
And thus, we have a grey area. So, back to Gilead. Lydia is a woman. She's a Jewish person. She's a persecuted race. She is in a fight for survival. And she makes a choice.
I think she does make a choice, but I think this is actually a really interesting question. I think the answer that people have will surprise people. If you were magically transported back into time and you were going to a concentration camp and you got to press a button as to whether you were a Nazi or a Jew, what button would you hit?
Ooh, because that's the choice Lydia made. It totally is. It's exactly the choice she made. She chose to be a Nazi in that conflict. Now, add into that particular choice that she has made, which I think is obviously morally questionable in and of itself. But add into that she's actually done something just so supremely beneficial for women in this circumstance by excluding men from the leadership of women. No men are allowed in the leadership building. They're not allowed to be involved in the punishment, the teaching, or the running of the handmaids or women in general. That is something that Lydia specifically did as she was a founder of the structure of Gilead and how they ran women. That has saved so many women. It just has. If you accept Gilead's reality.
That has theoretically saved women in the book, which is
yeah, totally. Yes. Is that good? Worth pushing the Nazi button.
So this is like the the train thing. You've got a person tied to a train track. You can press a button and swerve it, but it's going to hit 5 people. Right?
Except it's going to hit like 1 million people.
Yeah. Are you going to change the button? Are you going to save the life, and then the opposite is if there's 5 people chained to the track and you can press the button and you're going to kill 1 person.
And do you press the button or do you not press the button?
And then.
And what is the moral judgment on that?
Yeah, and The Good Place had a really interesting take on that.
Make Chudy's brain explode.
Yes. So what do you do in those moral situations where you know, if you had the control to kill 1 person and save 1,000, most people would kill the 1 person.
Actually, most people would take no action.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Because they can't be blamed.
Yeah, because they feel like being inactive is less...
Climate change. There you go.
Oh, creepy. She's cooperating with Mayday. Now, whether that is something that she's done all the way through, whether she has saved individual women from her position of power where she's also cut out their tongues...
we have Lydia's own words for it in Testaments, where she basically says that she's a bad person and she's going to burn with Gilead.
Yeah, and I think that that's true. I ultimately think that's true. That is based a little bit on my own personal values. So
I think we're really, if you're good, you can't be bad. If you're bad, you can't be good. Nah, Lydia's good. She's bad as well.
Oh, totally. I totally agree. But I guess the question I'm asking myself is not, is she good or is she evil? Or that's not the question I'm asking myself. The question I'm asking myself is, given being put in her position, would my own conscience allow me to behave as she has behaved?
So,
and for me, that answer is no.
Is it a survival tactic of Lydia? So ultimately, some Jewish people in Auschwitz were really bad to some other Jewish people in Auschwitz, and they did it to survive. And it sort of happens in a lesser extent every day. If you work in a number of jobs, if you work as a debt collector, if you work as a cop, if you work as a ticket inspector,
security guard, parking inspector,
all of these things, you're actually making people's lives miserable as well as doing other stuff that may be of value.
And if you're a good Marxist, you'll call that person a class traitor. So it's a person who survives in our current capitalist horror show by betraying people of their own class, which is essentially what Lydia has done. She has survived in an environment where women are persecuted by betraying women. She's a gender traitor, and I know they use that term in Gilead to mean transgendered and gay people, but in the true sense of the word, Lydia is a gender traitor.
Yeah. So would you, it's really hard to say, would I do this, because you're not under the pressure, right? What would have happened to Lydia if she didn't agree to go on it? Well, it sounds like she would have been killed.
Very much tortured and then killed. She was an academic. She did not have a happy prospect had she not taken the opportunity that she took.
So, what people do when their lives are threatened, is that I don't think that is a representation of.
Well, if you sign a contract with someone holding a gun to your head, then
it's not a valid contract.
It's not a valid contract. However, we're not talking about one instance of momentary terror. We're talking about.
But then it's been slowly normalised. This is how the system controls people. You force them to do evil things and then you normalise it. This is how on earth do you make Nazis kill baby Jews?
And think of it as extermination of vermin, and feel that I read. Oh, I don't know if I can say this out loud because you're in the room, not because of the camera.
What did you read?
Because we're reading the same book and I'm ahead of you.
I don't care.
So there's an account of a man from the perspective of a Nazi in the position we're talking about, where he exterminates people and he feels guilty, not for killing people, but because he still feels guilt about killing people. Because his indoctrination tells him that these people are vermin and that he should be joyful for ridding the world of vermin. And so his guilt is actually from experiencing compassion, which is a horrifying but possibly quite accurate representation of the level of conditioning that we're talking about.
It sounds like there might be more to the book than I think there is.
Yeah, Scott's not enjoying it yet.
This conversation could go on for hours. It really could.
I definitely think that the backstory on Lydia is the most valuable thing in the Testaments book. I think it was really interesting to start a conversation about, are you a gender traitor? Are you a class traitor? Like in our current environment, are you oppressing people who you could associate with? Is this something that you need to examine in your own life? I know for me it's something that I think about quite regularly, but that's because I'm a little bit of a communist and also own a business. So for me, there is a conflict there in...
How much do we pay people? Is that fair? It's just not fair no matter what.
No, it's not. It's not at all. And
there's some point where you're paying too much and you're robbing yourself and you're still robbing the employee.
And because the system is set up to be against people who earn below X amount of money. And so maybe the value of Testaments, the novel, is to get people who don't normally examine that sort of conflict in their own life and behaviour and actions. Maybe some of us will start to have that thought.
This actually reminds me of the announcement of about a month ago when the new Hunger Games book was announced that it would be about President Snow.
Oh, I'm so excited. Everyone else is like, boo, President Snow. I'm like, yes, this is going to be awesome.
It actually kind of, you can definitely...
I wasn't into it until it was President Snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a horrible person.
Says my husband.
I'm sorry. I think talking about what makes villains, like when Marvel do it, I'm not so interested. Oh, your dad hit you, whatever. But when the system manipulates you into being the villain, that's something that's really interesting, and I look forward to seeing how Suzanne Collins does it with President Snow.
Yeah, because I totally reckon the manipulation is going to be, he's a middle-class white dude. Like, boom, you're a villain. Tough, privilege, have some.
You must be a villain in order to keep your privilege.
Yeah. Oh, well, and just your privilege will make you a villain because you're not going to see the unprivileged around you. Because privilege.
You look at voting habits, the less privileged you are, the more left you vote. Because you want to uphold the system, because the left want to change the system and the right want to uphold it.
Yes.
Anyway, that's political.
It's all political.
Yeah.
So that's our political book video.
So we'd love to know what you think. What did you think of the Lydia character in the Testaments? Did you think she was good? Did you think she was bad? Did you think her actions were justified? Do you think they were forced? Do you think she was tricked?
Do you think all men in our current society should become gender traders? Do you think that you're a class trader? Do you think that examining whether you're a trader is a valuable thing? Do you examine your own ethics because of books? So many questions!
My head hurts thinking about
Oh my god, just talk to us. Don't yell at me for being a communist, just talk to us in the comments.
No, yell at her for being a communist.
So ideas are powerful. Ideas are more powerful than Nazis.
Yes, comrade.
Is this Lydia's redemption story? Is the question.
Yeah, that's a show on YouTube.
Sorry.
She's not even the funny one.
Shut up!
Anyway.
Sorry, Trixie.
I'd be surprised if they watched this.
Okay, so serious.
I think